with these Black Ops 1 and 2 ports coming, who is this really for? Is it for us, the 28-year-olds that we used to play that back in the day and those who are older than us who grinded those games? Or is it for also the people who've never played them? Because I think if you've never played those games and you grew up in the MW 2019, Vanguard, Cold War, up until now with Black Ops 7, I think you'd hate those games. And as a brand, they can't really rely on OK anymore, especially with all the other games in like GTA. That's a huge problem for them coming down the line. You can't make an OK game with that giant right around the corner. If your game's OK, it's basically dead. It needs to be really, really good. Welcome, everybody, to episode number 280 of the COD Casuals podcast. We're your host, Mike.
I'm Justin.
Justin, how we doing today, bro?
Doing pretty good. It's a Friday. We got the day off because of a federal holiday in the States. So Juneteenth, yeah. It snuck up on me. It just became a federal holiday, I want to say like 2 years ago or something like that. So it always just sneaks up. And also it reminds me, too, that technically it is summer, but summer's actually going to be here soon.
Yeah, I think by the time everyone's listening to this, it's going to be officially summer, which...
Yeah, people in school. You guys are free.
I know, dude. I mean, from the time of recording this on the 19th, I've got 1.5 days left. It is just, we're at that point of the year where it's absolute bullshit. We're doing nothing. Maybe you could see it in my face. It's not as bad right now, but I got absolutely roasted. We had like a field day. And I was out there for like 4 hours, total idiot, didn't put on any sunscreen. And then I was checking like all the time. I'm looking at my arms. I'm like, yeah, I'm not that bad, not that bad. And I go back inside. I'm like, okay, it's not bad. And then all of a sudden it just settled in. And then I like felt my neck. I was like, man, it's a little hot. Look, yeah, it was not an ideal way to start it off, but I can't complain. I mean, it is nice that it's like in the 70s here, sun's out. The mood's definitely up. So I can't complain too much.
Yeah, I mean, for all the people listening, I wonder how many of you guys are like still in school?
Yeah.
Like high school, college, or are we all just working adults now at this point?
Yeah, I mean, we get to a point where like now during the summer, we've said it before, people are going to be outside and maybe not gaming as much. But especially if you're someone that's in high school or in college and you've got the summers off, I mean, especially high school people, like if you're a freshman, sophomore, you're probably not working, more than likely or not. I mean, I remember our times, we would just spend our summers every day. Like, bro, we did not go outside. We would just be locked in playing COD all the time during the summers.
Yeah. And I mean, if you are working, it's pretty much just part-time usually. Yeah. So you just got a bunch of free time. So I wonder how many people I'm sure everyone's excited for the summer. I mean, even as an adult, I think everybody's excited for the summer just because it is nicer out. I feel like more people are just going out because everyone feels the impact of summer.
Yeah, definitely. I will say, though, there is something nice about waking up. Like even today, I woke up pretty early just to get a couple of games in. There's something nice about waking up when it's a nice sunny day and you get some games in. I do like playing when it's raining and it's like gray and terrible out for sure. But it is nice to have some sunlight and have the vibes be a bit higher when I'm playing games. If it's kind of depressing out, like this is the only thing that I could do. But when it is nice out, I like to know that I have options. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that. It's like so we're recording an extra episode because I'm going on vacation for a week. So we're recording another episode this week. But I enjoy the episodes where we get to record earlier in the day. Like around now, it's 10:30 here. Just because it's nice out. I know I have the rest of my day to just do whatever.
Right.
Sadly, I'm doing stuff that I don't really want to do, but it's just nice. And I think that's where the freedom is, right? Knowing that we have today off and we can just do whatever we want. All right. Yeah. Ideally, if we did this podcast full time, we probably would just record around this time. Like I think 10 to 11 o'clock is like the best time to just do stuff.
Yes.
And then you finish up and you have the rest of the day. to do whatever you want.
Yeah, it's not too early where you have to be like, "Okay, I gotta get to bed early,"
Hmm.
and, like, when you get up, you're kinda rushed and everything. It's the perfect time, but, yeah, it's not too late. Like, the worst time to be planning things, it's like, "Hey, can you record at 1?"
Yeah, yeah.
Be like, "Bruh."
Right after lunch,
Yeah, I'm
it's
like
yeah.
like, "Dude, I can't invest too much time at the beginning of the day, and then at the
Hmm.
end of the day, like, depending how long it goes, it's already kinda teetering off to the end of the day." So,
Hmm.
yeah, having it early in the morning is definitely ideal, you know? I'd say too, even for myself, gaming, I've always liked gaming early in the morning. I most of my gaming career has been at night,
Hmm.
but I do like and value the times where I can get up early and just play for 2 or 3 hours, and then I'm like, "Okay, I'm good." And I
Hmm.
check the time and, yeah, it's 11 o'clock, 11:30. Then I can be like, "Okay, man, it's peak time. Like, now I can go out and do some stuff." You
Hmm.
know?
Yeah. See, I'm the opposite. I feel like I enjoy gaming at night the majority of the time because I feel like I have nothing else to do. Like at night, I shut off. Like everything's done, my day's done. Now I can just focus on playing video games and not have to worry about, what do I have to do next?
Yeah. And most of our time playing games together, like that being said, we've always played at night, you
Yeah, yeah.
know? I mean, unless it was way back in the day, like the OG MW2, MW3 days. Um, yeah, we were playing we had enough time.
All
We were
day.
playing during the day. Yeah, yeah, we were
Yeah,
playing all day. I mean, we'll talk about our hours, but
yeah.
like most of the time when we're playing, it's at night. Like, we have to talk about this too, Justin. We didn't even talk about it prior. When we played a couple days ago, we beat Split Fiction. We have
Mhm.
mentioned this game quite a bit. It only took us about 6 months to beat this game,
Yeah, yeah,
but we finally got around to it. And again, we only played that game. If I remember, we pretty much exclusively played it at night. Um,
yeah.
but man, we had a good I loved it. Once we finished that game, we had like a whole debrief
Mhm,
on the game as a whole. And if you've been listening to us for a while, you've heard that we talked about this and like just with co-op games in general, the ones that we've played. Uh I'd have to say that Split Fiction is one of the greatest, if not the greatest co-op game that I've ever played.
mhm.
It truly is a masterpiece. I think if you have a friend that games and they're relatively competent, um, you absolutely should go and buy it with them. There's no way that there's any loss on that game, price wise, and especially like experience. It was one of the best ever.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's how a co-op game should be developed. That game was so much fun. And I mean, we won't spoil anything, but if you've thought about playing this game or buying it or a friend thought about it, like just get it because it's not that expensive because only one person has to buy the game and then the other person just has to download the friends pass. So then you can play. And realistically, you one person or both of you just split the game. I think it's like $50, brand new. So 25 each. And the game's fantastic. Like visually, it's so creative. Um, there if you guys like puzzles, like puzzles are just they're fun. Like you have to work together. It's a true co-op experience.
Yeah. And we had played the other one, that they had developed. Who was it made it? Was it like Haze or something like that? The
Yeah,
company that
I want to say it's like Haze Gaming or Haze Light.
yeah, Haze Light, I think is what it is. When they made, It Takes Two and we played that, we liked that one quite a bit, and I thought that was a great game, but then when they went to this one, they'd already set the bar pretty high, and it's amazing that they somehow topped that game. They made it
Mhm,
even better. And to your point, visually, it's obviously phenomenal, but how creative it is with the idea of co-op games,
mhm.
regarding, like, the puzzles that you have to do or just the level design, everything about it, they're constantly throughout the whole game, and I think it's only what was it? We said like 12 to like 13 hours roughly.
We beat it in 13 hours, but I think yeah, they said 12 to 14 hours like it takes to beat.
Yeah, in that entire time that you play it, it's so fresh. There's
Mhm,
never a time where you're getting bored or it feels stale because you've already done something. They're just constantly throwing something new at you and innovating on it. Um, and it really was an amazing game. Yeah, I mean, regardless of the story, just playing it overall, it was really nice because I feel like co-op games, everybody knows co-op games are like a dying breed. People just don't
Mhm.
make them anymore. People don't play them anymore like they used to. Um, so seeing a company like them just really focus on trying to make the best co-op game and in my opinion succeeding, it's really refreshing to see.
Yeah, the game is just it's so creative. The whole idea of split fiction is crazy. And if you do play it, I mean, you'll see it too when you're actually playing. It's nuts. I mean, that's a game I definitely would go back and play again.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Like you you play that game and the time just flies by on it, you
Mhm.
know? I mean, it's crazy to think that it really only took us that many hours to play it because even though, someone listens to that and it is relatively short, yeah, in the grand scheme of gaming, but that time that you're playing it, it just goes by so quick.
Mhm.
Because again, there's every time you're playing it, every level, every puzzle that you're doing just feels new and it just keeps the experience fresh. And I think that's like the main thing with any game that is going to be that's the secret to having a game have longevity for you, you know? Like when
Mhm.
we were talking about it, we were then just like screwing around and looking on PlayStation at our hours on like some of our top games, which for us is obviously Call of Duty, which
Surprise. It should be Call of Duty.
yeah, I mean, yeah, can you
Yeah.
imagine if we're over here, we got this, and then we're like, "Oh, Assassin's Creed, that's our top
Yeah.
game." But our top 3, I think, was, yeah, Call of Duty, like, the whole bundle, and then we had Cold War and Vanguard,
Mhm.
um, which when we look at those hours, it's pretty sickening.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I don't think you can argue that we're not vets in the scene playing COD with just those hours, and it doesn't even count all the older games, all the older CODs we played, and the tracking on this too isn't that accurate.
No.
So yeah, and I mean, what I think we did the math. I think we're well over like 200 days just on those 3 games. Like
Yeah.
we're all like around there. Yeah, like I almost had a 1,000 hours in Vanguard, which is crazy because we shit talked that game for so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, which means I
And
probably had more.
And yeah, oh yeah, and same thing with like Cold War because I think about with Cold War how much hours were on there compared to Vanguard, and I
Hmm.
know we played Cold War way more than Vanguard.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, those hours on there for the tracking, I kind of take them with a grain of salt, but I would say roughly like it's not that far off. Most of them for sure are below where we're at.
Hmm.
Um, but it is wild to think that when you do the math and you see that, I mean, for sure, all the Call of Duties that we've played over our entire lifetime, it has to be years, not like a year. It
Yeah.
probably has to be like, I don't know, I'd maybe say probably about 2 years, or close
Hmm.
to that for the amount of time that we've put on those games, which is it's impressive, but
Hmm.
it is scary to think about that in my 28 years of living, I have dedicated that much time to just sitting down and playing one type of game.
Yeah. 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 I mean, if you think about it, what like if you just take on average like 1,000 hours in a game, what that's like what's that math? Like 40 days or something like that? A
If
little
you
over
do a
40 days?
Yeah, if you do let me break out the calculator. If you do 1,000 divided by 24, yeah, 41.6 days.
Yeah. That's a lot. And that's just I feel like we've definitely hit 1,000 hours on other games too. I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
yeah, like not just COD, but I mean, yeah, obviously COD's gonna be our top game because we are the COD casuals. But it is insane to think how much time we spent playing COD and just games in general.
Yeah, I across the board, all the times, like in all the games that I've played, yeah, it does add up really quickly. But you don't think about it because those games in particular, the ones from back in the day where I know, like we were saying this, I know on MW2 that I have like north of 30, 35 days. Same thing with MW3. Like already there, we're already pushing like 80 to 100 days
Mhm.
of time put on those games, and that I can't even I'd have to go back on my PS3 and look at, COD 4 and World at War to see how much I have on those. Um, but those games, again, they were like part of the problem and like what's nice to see with Split Fiction is those games every year, like one, they were always like they were good, which we've talked about, and most people, that's why we have all these ports coming with Black Ops 1 and 2. People want to re-experience those games. Um, but they just continuously every year they innovated and they made the game better. And that was really refreshing with Haze Light, like making Split Fiction because they had such a good game and the bar was set high and they hit it. Like they
Mhm.
listened to the feedback, they made a good game like off rip, and then they made it better. And then all the reviews that we were looking at, everyone's just waiting for the next one to be like, well, they're going to take their time with it. It's probably going to be another 3 to 4 years, but I'm sure that next one that they put out is going to be like a 10 out of 10. It's
Mhm.
going to be even better. And that's why we have so many hours on those games because they just continuously, every year, they were different, but in our opinion, they were better.
Yeah, and I think too it's because their formula is different than COD, where they
Yeah.
don't have a blueprint that they have to follow necessarily. They know that they have to make a co-op game, but their storyline is endless or infinite. It can be whatever they want. I mean, all three of those games, A Way Out, It Takes Two, and Split Fiction, none of them relate to each other at all.
Mm-mm.
They're just all co-op games, and the storyline is completely different. But I think I don't know how big Hazelight Studios is as a developer, but it's definitely. I mean, yeah, it's smaller than like Activision
Yeah, of
and their
course.
devs. So, but they have the freedom to do whatever they want, which I think is really cool because there is no like boundary for them. They can make any storyline. I mean, Split Fiction storyline, or most of the gameplay, you have like your futuristic side, and then you have like a fantasy side. That's like really cool that they can do that. And then It Takes Two was the whole storyline was um you turn into like these two like dolls as mom and dad, and you go and explore all these worlds to try to become human again. And
Mhm.
then A Way Out was you're in prison and you're trying to break out, which that is probably more a storyline that I would say it's more common
Mhm.
just in general, like in movies, TV series, like all that stuff, video games. And then you start going down like the fantasy route and just being way more creative about it. And I mean, they did a great job clearly because each game they've gotten better and better at. And I like that they always pay homage to their previous games. In all these games, there's like Easter eggs of the previous game, like in there.
Right.
Like in this one, we dropped what were their names? Vincent and someone else.
I have to look this up because I forgot their names too, and I can't.
But it was funny because we went over to this like side area and then we hit a button and we were in a jail and they were in there and then we dropped them.
Cody and May, that
No,
was
no,
their
no.
name.
The first one,
Oh, what was the first one then? What was their
A
that's,
Way
A
Out.
Way Out
Yeah,
character names, let me see. There was, Leo and Vincent. Yeah.
Leo. Yeah, Leo saw the guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, little things like that are cool because it shows that they, like, remembered where they came from,
Hmm.
but to your point, yeah, every game had its own kinda setting, and even within the game, like with the one we just played, they had 2 really different settings that kept it fresh, you know? And I I liked how you could go and choose different like you of the 2 that you had, you could choose who you wanted to play as every time, but we always stuck as the same people, I think just for
Hmm.
consistency reasons. But it was nice how they were able to blend those 2 together throughout the game, and again, you weren't really doing that in the first 2 games that they made.
Hmm.
They were way more like, say, like rigid, but more along the lines of what you would expect from a co-op game. They push it a little bit regarding with puzzles, but this one was a huge step forward. Um,
Hmm.
and it really just expanded on everything that was good about It Takes Two. because that was like the real game that a lot of people started, paying attention to with them. Um, and yeah, I think back to the other CODs that we had played back in the day, and we've said this before, and it's nice to see that they're going to be doing this again with studios where they're going to be, swapping from year to year because that really kept it fresh for us. You'd be playing one year where it's, World at War and the maps are dark and like all the guns are super simple and you're pretty limited to like the movement and whatnot. And then you go to COD 4 or no, sorry, you go to MW2 and it's way more expansive. The maps, like the guns, everything about it was way different. So it felt like a breath of fresh air, you know?
Mhm.
Um, that's something that I feel as time has gone on in Call of Duty, they've kind of lost that. And that's kind of the problem that they've been facing for a bit. And it's nice to see games that are actually doing what Call of Duty used to do,
Mhm.
because it shows that it can still be done. And at the end of the day, that's what we really want. We were happy with It Takes Two. We wanted more and they delivered. And I mean, yeah, you go and you look at the reviews of that game, it's basically 9.5s, 10 out of 10. Like everybody loves that because they did exactly what everyone expected them to do.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing is they took their time to create the game, whereas I mean, in most recent years with COD, it's MW2, MW3 back to back studios, and then they're going to do Black Ops 6, Black Ops 7 back to back studios supposedly,
Mhm.
but they wanted to change the model a bit, and clearly the model didn't work because now they're going back to what COD used to be, and it's every dev takes their time creating a game. They have like 3 years like in between each other to create the
Mhm.
next game, which in theory, right, like that should be perfectly fine. Even if you create a game, you release a game every single year, that game has been worked on for a couple of years. So it's kind of the same thing, uh, same process, but obviously it hasn't been because since MW19, the games have been pretty similar in terms of like movement and like style and everything. So,
Yeah.
and maybe that's just Activision, being the umbrella, and they're like, you got to keep this consistent. But or they could just give free reign to these guys and be like, just make it. It's a Call of Duty. Just make it your Call of Duty.
Exactly. That's what I want, is I
It's
want
because
all of these.
Warzone fucked it up. Warzone
Yes.
fucked it up.
Yes, 1,000%. It fucked all of this up because now everything has to be trying to streamline into that some way, and that's kind of like everything starts from Warzone, and then they kinda just trickle down to find the
Mhm.
main things that they need to keep, to have some thread throughout all of it, where ideally each one of these studios would have their own spin on what Call of Duty is, which I felt is what it used to be. And they would learn like obviously from the like previous year, like their developers say Treyarch, they learn from what they did in World at War for then going into Black Ops 1. But I'm sure they also like in the midst of developing the game, they looked at what was going on with MW2 and we're like, okay, we need to be doing this, like the pro perk system. Yeah, we should definitely do that. That's a really good idea. And that kind of being the main thing that is attractive to Call of Duty is, yeah, they are learning from one another, but they're really still very different games. And as a consumer, that's what you want. If you're going to be charging all this price, yeah, I don't want to be buying, the same game every year, which a lot of people can argue that's where it's been. And when you look at those hours that we have on Call of Duty, like the hub there, I think of all those games that are inside of that. And yeah, from year to year, it's really not that different, you know?
Yeah, I think that argument is harder to defend now, like after 2019, because at the end of the day, like, yeah, the games are pretty similar, but you all, a person that plays COD, like you and I, and like, people listening, like, if you play every year, there is a difference. You know that there is a difference. Um, you just have to pick up the game and play. But for the everyday person, that argument is so much harder to like argue against now because of how similar it looks. I mean, going from MW2 to MW3, that's really hard to defend unless like you've played MW3 where
Mhm.
yeah, it is different, but it should have just been what MW2 was. Like, it's faster, and that's
Right.
what MW2 should have been. And then trying to argue BO6 to BO7, saying that it's not the same game. Yeah, it's pretty hard because it looks the same, but the movement is a bit different, you know? And yeah, I think now when people say cost just the same, like literally year to year, it's harder to say it's not when like you're not playing the game, you know? And it's like the 2K games or Madden games. Like they release those games every single year. For the most part, it is the same game. It's just updated rosters. Whereas now it's like COD, back to back years with the same developer. The only thing that's different are like the maps. You know, that's
Right.
really it. At times, like at the end of the day, that's really it.
Yeah, I can't remember really going from any of the games. I guess from MW3 to Black Ops 6, where yeah, there was a bit of a difference with regards to playing, like in the guns and just like how the actual gameplay is. But my thing is with it is, especially from the years that you just mentioned, yeah, there's virtually no difference, but it's also too how much of a learning curve is there to this game?
Hmm.
How much time do you really need to put into it for where you're like, okay, yeah, there's still a lot to be learning and a lot to get better at, instead of when we went from MW2 to 3, it maybe took a week, if that,
Yeah.
and we were just like, "Yep, we got it. Yeah, we know this game, like, we're pretty solid." Is there another tier? Of course. Yeah, you could go insane with these games. I mean, people, even the CDL, there's people I'm sure that are still learning the game, and there's stuff you can always perfect, and that's with anything.
Hmm.
But when it comes to the vast majority of people, for you to feel where you're solid at the game, um, it doesn't really take that long in the past couple of years because they're just so similar. And we
Hmm.
always go back to our time when we went from 2019 to Cold War. Like, that's what I want. I want
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
play this game and I want to be shit. like
Yeah.
I want to be like, oh my God, what is this? I like it, but I don't like it because I'm
Hmm.
not good. And it's just so different than last year's, and in every aspect.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, even going from the original MW2 and then into Black Ops 1. Like
Yeah,
those games are very, very different. Super,
way
super
different.
different. And yeah, you could make the argument, well, the movement's the same, it looks the same. You could really make the case that it's not, because if you picked up the game and played both of them side by side, 100% those are completely different games.
Mhm.
And now it's not that. It's MW 2 to MW3, practically the same thing. It's just sped up.
Yeah.
And yeah, like it. I'm glad they're going back to the old model of every dev gets a new COD every year. But the thing that sucks is that they have to keep the same movement. It seems like, at least.
Mhm.
They're getting rid of Omni movement. They're bringing back tax sprint. Where why can't each dev just do whatever, like just do what they want? And it's probably because Warzone, they have to keep it consistent somehow. And that's the frustrating part, because now it really makes the game look like it's just the same.
Like, do you think that some of these developers are being from Activision, they're being like pigeonholed into making Call of Duty a certain way? Like some of these studios want to make a different COD than what they actually have to put out.
I'm sure, like maybe not the studio itself, but I'm sure the individuals. I mean, right? Like I'd imagine if you are a person that loves video games and COD specifically, let's say, and you want to go work for Treyarch, and you have all these ideas, right, that you want to implement in the game, but then there has to be like guidelines that they have to follow. Like, oh yeah, you want boots on the ground, and you don't want tax sprint in the game. Well, too bad, because this is what like we have to follow. Um, and that sucks. I mean, that can happen like in any job, right? But in this specifically, I'm sure it's just tough being a developer when you have ideas and like you want to make the game better by implementing these and you can't because of, you know, these guidelines of it needs to be in Warzone. Like if there was a decision made at the top being like Warzone is completely separate from Call of Duty. Like it is Call of Duty Warzone, and then multiplayer is its own other side of Call of Duty, and they don't need to be tied together at all. That'd be great because now you have more range for like creativity and customization on like your individual multiplayer experience.
Yeah.
Warzone, that can all be the same, but again, Call of Duty has their hands in like so many different areas, and it's just tough because it's either all those spaces are going to take a hit in quality because not all of them are going to get like the proper care that they need, or one of those areas in COD is going to be so much better than the other, and that sucks for the community that isn't getting taken care of. Like Warzone at 2019, it was that everyone loved Warzone and it got everything. Multiplayer took a hit, and multiplayer's been taking a hit. And then I don't even need to say anything about the zombies community.
Yeah. And it feels like this has just been the trend in recent years with Call of Duty where yeah, they went into different routes other than just campaign and multiplayer and zombies and tried to make, a different expansive experience with Call of Duty. And they haven't since 2019. There hasn't been one title, at least to my recollection, where every group has been happy.
Hmm.
There's always some group, of the COD community that's now way beyond just those original three, that is unhappy with what they've got. And I do really think that a lot of it comes from what they have to do from their publisher. They have certain guidelines that they need to follow. And yeah, it is centered around Warzone for sure. So certain ideas that they have that people have asked for multiplayer, they just can't do it because it's not in line with what maybe Warzone is doing or from year to year as to like what they want to do. I to this day still do not understand why tax printing is still in there, why this is even a thing in Call of Duty. I have not met anybody that's ever been singing its praises, and for some reason it's still in there. There's just no way that the people making these games don't hear that, you
Hmm.
know?
Yeah, yeah, and
Like,
I don't believe that having tax sprint in multiplayer is not a correlation to Warzone. Like
yeah.
there's no way because look, I don't why I hate tax sprint. It's another added movement that's just not necessary in COD. I think it fucking breaks your controller in general.
Oh,
If
dude, it's the
if
worst.
unless you turn auto tax sprint on, but there's a reason why a lot of people don't, and it's because you lose movement.
Mhm.
That because if you're playing search and destroy and you're trying to crouch and then you just move your left stick and then you fucking start tax sprinting, like
Yeah.
you're gonna make a noise. So that it's annoying, but I think I would have a different opinion about tax sprint if like every year it's not tax sprint. Like if it was actually different movement from year to
Yeah.
year. Because then you get a break, right? And that I would be more open to than having consistent movement every single year because then that really does make the game feel the same.
Yeah, and this has been a topic that people have talked about before, where do they make Call of Duty just one game? Like COD Mobile, for example, and they just constantly, add new stuff to it. Um, and we've said this before a while ago. That's not what Call of Duty has been. It's never going to be that. And I think that's kind of in a way, like, yeah, we are talking about some of the negatives of it, but that is definitely one of the pros and part of the charm of Call of Duty is that, yeah, every year you hope if it's executed the way that we're talking about and the way it used to be, that you do get a different taste of how they want Call of Duty to be. You had Treyarch's vision for how it was. You had Raven's version, and then you had IW's version. Like everybody had, and same thing with Sledgehammer. They all had their different spin on how the game should be, and then you had your preferences for those people, and
Mhm.
those developers. But in the past couple years, everyone was singing Treyarch's praises, and we were too. And then they just did not do what they've ever done before, and they let us down. And yeah, the difference that we were looking from year to year, it's really like the lines have been blurred. And now I don't really know if people have developer loyalty for Call of Duty like they used to. I mean,
Mhm,
I think mine has definitely dipped down a bit. I'm just here like, hey, I'm looking for some identity. I'm just looking for a good game,
mhm.
just something new.
Yeah, I'm definitely on the train of Treyarch was handcuffed because I think this game's good. I really don't care what other people think. I still stand by Treyarch. Um, I I don't think they let us down per se. I think it's just the what the community thinks about Call of Duty as a whole, and it hurts them because Black Ops 7 by far is the best COD uh, in most recent years, and then I would probably put like MW3 like behind it. But I think Black Ops 7 by far is the best game in recent years.
But
Um,
you think they were handcuffed though for it still?
yeah, I mean they there are definitely things that they could have done better. Um, but they had to like suit to Warzone as much as they could. I mean, there's no tax burn in this unless you really want it. Um, but I think Black Ops 7 is just getting so much more hate than it actually deserves or should get because the community is just so burnt out on COD. I mean,
Yeah.
it wasn't sold well at all. Like least amount of copies sold for a COD ever. And I don't think that's Treyarch's fault at the end of the day. I really don't think it's their fault. I think it's Call of Duty's fault as a freaking whole.
Yeah.
And Treyarch, who, tried saving COD, is just getting spread so thin. Like, I think Black Ops 7 is the game that they wanted to put out last year. But they were probably like, you need to get a game out back to back years. Like, that's so hard for a dev.
Oh, I don't even understand how that's possible, to be
Yeah.
honest. You know? I mean, you look back on some of these games, like, I think it was one of the, Ratchet& and Clanks that came out. I think it was from 2 to 3, back in the PS2 era, and I remember watching a whole thing about it because it came out, like, very shortly after 3 did. Well, yeah, 3 came out very shortly after 2, and even back then, they talk about the level of stress and difficulty to make that game in such a short time. And it was a miracle that it turned out to be a success. This is the other side of it,
Mhm.
where, yeah, you're stressed beyond belief. You have to come up with something new. And you know that, okay, people just played your last game, they're still playing it. And now you need to put out a new one. Um, yeah, and I think they definitely had other ideas for the game as well still, that they weren't able to implement, because, yeah, I think to an extent, all these guys are handcuffed as to what they do because of Warzone and because of Activision, and that's
Mhm.
been the real problem, is them trying to, like, find a vision for what Call of Duty should be,
Yeah.
because
And
it's just right now, it seems like there really isn't one.
yeah, and I think the back to back years it's hard for a developer. I mean, you
Crazy.
have you have two sides, right? Like, oh, two options. One, you release your first game, and your community expects a whole different game the following year. What's easier? Taking the game that you literally created and keeping that movement and making it a bit different, or literally scrapping the whole thing and literally restarting again, building a whole nother game. I mean, obviously, you're going to want to build off of the first game you released. You know what I mean? Like, that I mean that's what COD was before. Like you had the 2 to 3 year gap to work on a whole new COD. That's why they had time to make it feel different. Where the back to back years, I mean, resources wise, like it doesn't make sense to scrap the whole game and restart and make something new. Imagine if BO6 was what it was, and then BO7 had like jetpacks or something, a
Right.
whole different movement system. That would be insane. The only movement system they added was just the wall bounce,
Yeah. Yeah, they
and
just innovated on the movement.
yeah,
Yeah, which I thought was fine,
yeah,
but
yeah. I just
it
can't
was
imagine scrapping. That's what they would have to do.
yeah,
Scrap the previous game completely and not even add on to it.
yeah. And my question is too with them, this is gonna be a thing that they keep for the foreseeable future with their CODs, you know? Like, are they gonna have, are they gonna keep developing Omni movement, or are they just kind of happy with where it is right now and put their focus into the other parts of the game that we're lacking? Because, like, when it comes to the movement, honestly, with this game, I don't think it's that bad. I like it. I thought it was a good innovation. I don't got any beef with it. I'm sure other people, if you feel, you don't agree with this, let us know. But I think it's pretty solid right now. Of course, it's hard since I'm not in that mindset to really see what they could do with it. Um, but again, that identity that they have, I think that's the one good thing that's come with the past couple of years that they had with 6 into 7, that they've got the Omni movement and people know that, yeah, that's Treyarch's thing right now. When we're going into MW4, I really don't know what this game's thing is.
Mhm.
Like, we'll have to wait and play it to really see. Like, they've talked about some of the, additions to the movement, but I want there to be like a flagship thing that these developers, each of them, have for Call of Duty, that we know year after year with them, um, at least for right now, that they're going to keep adding to. And it's something that we know, okay, it's way different than what we had last year.
Mhm. Yeah, and I mean, I think it's fine to try different things for the movement from COD to COD, and honestly, like, that's what makes a game different. So if they did that, fine, but I don't think it's gonna be that way because of Warzone. I mean, and yeah, like the Omni movement, I like Omni movement. I like BO7. Other people may think otherwise. Even though like a lot of the pros they don't like it. Scrap was talking about it, like he hates Omni movement. Same with Hydra because they said there's no skill gap anymore at their level
Yeah.
because which I mean pros versus like casual players, like obviously like there's a huge gap there, but they've said that I can see from their perspective that the Omni movement creates no skill gap for a pro because the game aims for you and you can get away with stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas if you didn't have Omni movement and you actually have to make smart strategic plays, you're outsmarting the other person. You're
Yeah.
not relying on, this thing to uh, make you win. But for the everyday person, I mean, I enjoyed the wall bounce. It's good. It definitely creates a skill gap between you versus, an everyday player. But back to your point, I don't know what's going to happen in MW4. I mean, I hope they try something new. I mean, they have tac sprint. I think the movement's going to be relatively similar to MW3, which okay, but how are they going to make it their movement?
Right. And is that game going to have something that is memorable about it? And I hope it does, of course. Whether that's like the guns in there or it's the maps, maybe they finally have a really good map selection, or just the balance of the game overall is really good. I always say all of this because we've we've never really been ones to do this other than we've talked about our year with BO4, but I saw people, and I think I saw T Dog mention it and others as well, about going back to like Vanguard. Some of these games that when you're playing the one right now, yeah, where we have our different movement state, and then you go to a game that's, you know, not at all like that, and you get a different perspective on what Call of Duty is, and like maybe you then get an answer to the question of, yeah, what made Vanguard Vanguard, which to me, I really don't know. I'm like, the fact it had breakable walls and shit, like,
Mhm.
which I hate, and I would never go back and play that. But I think that's where people then gain a different perspective on these games, is because, yeah, you have your idea of what it is right now. Like when we play Black Ops 6 and playing Black Ops 7, yeah, they're not really that different and we like them. But when you go back to some of these other ones, you maybe look at them a bit differently because you're not going to be playing this for weeks or months on end. You're
Mhm.
really just comparing it for a short time and kind of refreshing your memory on it, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. And I think I mean most players are biased when you're playing the current COD. I mean, because
Yeah,
that's all you know.
exactly.
And yeah, I mean, I said it back in MW3. I think MW3 is an underrated COD. The new MW3,
Yeah.
and now people are saying that that game, it was probably like one of the better CODs in recent years. I'm like, that game would have been way better if it wasn't recycled maps.
Mhm.
If that game didn't have recycled MW2 maps, it came out with original maps from the get go, it would be a top game for sure. The movement
Yeah.
in that was good. Like even if it had tax sprint, I liked the weapons in that game too. Um, it was just smooth,
Yeah.
and but they recycled all these maps that we've played that weren't made for that game.
Yeah, and that was such a good year too for them in the sense that everything like we've talked about from, one developer to the next and having to do a back-to-back year, that's where they had done it right. And we said the same with Treyarch, like their sequel game was definitely better.
Mhm,
Everything was refined for the most part, but it was still one of those, main parts of Call of Duty that we've talked about, especially with like the maps is always something that is going to be a main talking point with the game. Cold War for us is a great game, not just because of the gameplay and whatnot, but all those maps for, casual players are great. They're all really fun maps. Most of them are pretty memorable in the grand scheme of Call of Duty maps. But yeah, for MW3, everyone remembers the maps like in the seasons, like the new ones that they put out. Every time I hear people talk about that game, that's like all they mention is that the ones that they put out after all the original MW2 remasters were some of the best, you
mhm,
know. But that's the one thing that people remember poorly about that game, and rightfully so.
mhm.
Um,
Yeah, and everybody realizes that now that yeah, back to back years for a developer, it just adds too much stress because like
yeah,
it's just I'm not defending them, and I'm sure people are like, no, this is a $1 billion company. Like, yeah, but if you take a step back, does it make sense to scrap your previous game and make a completely new game? Like, it doesn't really make sense to start over.
yeah,
And the answer is no. I mean, imagine if MW3 was MW2 from the beginning. And, I don't know how it works, but imagine if they created MW3 for the MW2 year, but they knew they had to release that game again for the following year. So they're like, let's slow it down, like just a bit. Tweak the movement a bit by slowing it down. And then, we don't know the behind the scenes, but MW3, right? They could have had all the MW2 maps. They could have had like a list of like 20 maps, and they decide, let's pick these 10 and release them with MW2, and then the other 10 will put to MW3. Like it's not like all this stuff was planned like within a year. It's definitely multiple years.
right.
And I don't think we'll know the real answer of this, but I could see that happening. Same with Treyarch. They could have made Black Ops 7. Black Ops 7 was the game for last year, but they knew they had to release it back to back years. Let's change it a bit. Let's
Yeah.
release it with the no wall jump, and then in the next game add the wall jump, and then release like the second set of maps for BO7.
Yeah, again, they'll take some of the main things that people want, but they'll just, they'll hold on to it. They'll drip feed us,
Yeah, and
you know?
I think that's the added stress of going back to back years. You're not
Yeah.
gonna. I don't think you can get quality work, especially for a game like COD, back to back years, because it's each is just so unique. They want to do different things, so let them do different things and actually let them develop it.
And I'm sure with maps, um, I could only imagine that when they make some of this stuff, they maybe make or have like templates for I don't know, maybe 50 maps or so, for a game, like maybe less, but then they probably whittle it down to the ones that are like actually good,
Mhm,
and be like, okay, come up with this many maps, but then scrap the ones that aren't really worth your time or not like going to be good for this game and then go from there. Which I think when you have the back to back years, they probably take some of those maps that are not that good and they're like, well, we'll just throw a couple of those in like each of those CODs. That way we only have a few that are not that good, you know?
mhm,
Where I hope with the amount of time now, and hopefully this is a good reset for them, where they can really just focus on like, okay, we're not going to make 30 maps. We're just going to like do this where we're going
mhm,
to have a number of 12 maps that we want to do, and we're going to just make the best 12 maps that we can,
mhm,
and put all of our energy into that and not take any of the scraps and try to save it for some other, other title down the line. Because if you don't think it's good now, it's never good, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
You shouldn't try to just be like, "Well, it's not good now, but maybe we could tweak it to make it okay for some other Call of Duty." It's like, man, we ain't paying for okay anymore. Like,
Mhm.
we
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
afford in this economy. We can't afford that. And
Yeah.
as a brand, they can't really rely on okay anymore. Especially with all the other games, and like we'll talk about it a little bit with GTA, but like that's a huge problem for them coming down the line because if you can't make an okay game,
Yeah.
with that giant right around the corner. If your game's okay, it's basically dead. Like it needs
Yeah.
to be really, really good.
Yeah, and I mean, again, I just don't think it's a good sign. Like Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2 ports, great, fantastic. Will I play it? Maybe, because I've been seeing a lot of like my cousin. I used to play a lot with my cousin. He's like amped about it. And he randomly texted me about, "Are you gonna play this? You're gonna buy this?" I'm like,
Yeah.
if it's $50, I ain't buying it. I'll tell you that. Fuck that. I already bought that game once. I'm not buying it again. For that. Like, but yeah, I'm sure people are gonna play it. I mean, it's gonna be hyped up in the beginning, and I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun. But I don't think it's a good sign for any developer that they're recycling old games. I don't care what developer you are, whether it's COD, whether it's like single player games. Like, well, it's just not a good sign because it means you're running out of time. Like, you're scrapped on time. So yes, let's bring back a fan favorite, sure, but I really hope you're using that time to develop something new. Um, and maybe people might think that's yeah, stupid thought. Does make sense, but like I said, I lived these games during their prime. I don't need to play it again for a full price game when I've already played it in its prime. And what I'm gonna go play it for like 2 weeks, and then my life gets super busy with a bunch of other shit, and same with everyone else, and then we forget about it after a month.
Yeah, and especially for us too, it's like, man, we wanna be playing the new COD, you
No,
know?
yeah. If you're
Like
a gamer, you play the new stuff. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
I even if you talk about like competitive players, like yeah, if you play ranked, no matter how annoyed you are with the rank system and you're playing COD ranked, you're buying the new game. You're not playing MW3 ranked still. I don't know anybody that's still playing MW3 ranked and just stuck on those games. I don't think there are a lot of people in general now that stick to one game for multiple years. And I'm not talking about like Rainbow Six or CSGO, you know, games like that where they created that one game and it was made to be only one game and continuously updated.
Right.
COD was made to come out every single year, not continuously like updated like for one specific game.
Yeah, I agree, and going back to your point, I also think that, I think it is a worrying sign when I see those coming out. It's nostalgia bait, of course. It's nice to see those. Like you said, your cousin texting you, and I had people, being like, "Bro, this is gonna be sick." It's all, and I'm like, yeah, it won't be the same. Like,
Mhm,
it's just not the same. Like, we're not that age anymore. Everyone that's listening who played those games back in the day, like, we're just different people. I mean, like, bro, you have a fucking house now. Like,
mhm,
but when we were playing those games, we were like 12,
mhm,
13, and the community was way different. Um, and also too, I think for me, when I see the fact that it's a PS3 game that they're just porting to the 4, which then is kind of being like then ported again or emulated, emulated probably not the right word for it, but then bringing it to the 5, it really seems like it's just slapped together, you know, where it's not, for example, Black Flag Resynced, where
mhm,
they're taking the game that people really liked and they're doing a complete overhaul of it, and there's serious work and time and energy that's put into that game. This seems to be more of a, depending on the price of it, if it's $50 for Black Ops 1 and 2, yeah, I'm not buying that. That's insane. Like,
mhm,
because to me, that's just that's like an FU to the consumer. Just like, please give us the money. Like they know that people want those games and they'll pay stupid money for them,
mhm.
even if it literally is just the PS3 version of it that I could go
Mhm.
to Savers and buy for $5 because that game is that old. You know,
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
try to
and
sell me on those games. Like again, if it's anything to me, if it's anything over $30, I don't know about it.
yeah, yeah, it's like I don't know. I get the nostalgia part of it, but maybe I'm just different. I want something new now.
Yeah,
Where I want new stuff. Um, because it's only gonna last for so long. I mean, you're gonna play Black Ops 2 for again a week, 2 weeks, maybe a month, and that's it. Then it's probably gonna just rest on your PC or on your PlayStation like forever after that. You know,
I
um,
I
I just
just
want the
checked.
new
I don't
COD.
mean to interrupt quickly, but I just checked to add to this. This guy on eBay selling Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2 with the cases for $8.
Yeah,
There you
and
go.
we already played these games. I think I'm always itching for something new. I want something new, something that's different, and I think a lot of people are like that. I think most people buying the sport is going to be people our age, the people that played the game already. Um, and who's to say, right? I mean, are the younger kids going to buy this game and be like, "Wow, this game's great"? I would put money on that. If kids nowadays played that game, they'd be like, "This COD sucks."
Well, that's my question too, is with these Black Ops 1 and 2 ports coming, who is this really for? Is it for us, the 28-year-olds that we used to play that back in the day and those who are older than us, who grinded those games? Or is it for also the people who've never played them? Because yeah, I think if you've never played those games and you grew up in the MW 2019, Vanguard, Cold War, like up until now with Black Ops 7, I think if you go and play those games, if you're someone who's like 13, 15,
Mhm.
I think you'd hate those games, you
Yeah.
know? And especially them too being ports. I think a lot of people would look at those and be like, bro, what is this graphics? Like the frame rate,
Mhm.
like this whole thing, this experience just sucks.
Mhm.
But for us, we know we'd be like, yeah, that's what it was.
Mhm.
Um, so that's where I don't really know. Yeah, they're gonna capture a lot of, the older people like us with nostalgia, but is that gonna really hold a lot of weight as time goes on? For me and you, no.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll just see when it comes out. I mean, from what I've seen, yes, people are really excited, but then I think there are people like us. I mean, I watched Jet's video. He was like, "This is great," but MW4 is coming out.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, I will say I'm more excited about MW4 than the ports. That's a new game, and
Yeah.
am I optimistic about MW4? Yeah, like I really hope this is the game. This is the COD, but I am excited about it. I mean, I feel like I'm excited about every new COD, but um, I'm still cautious about it. But I think MW4 with the right movement and stuff, and obviously right maps, will be a really fun COD.
Yeah. No, I mean, new is always going to be what people want, you know? Again, you can only go so far back with stuff where people get, excited, but most of that stuff again just it falls off really quickly. Everyone just wants to see what's new. And especially to our points earlier about, where they have time and they can work on a game and you're with that expectation of time, you're hoping that there's going to be something new and innovative with the game. I mean, like, look at GTA 6. Like, on the day of recording this, yeah, it was on the 18th, and it came out that they put like another little trailer where they
Mhm.
showed like some of the view of the game. And I think pre-orders now opened up. I think it's gonna be the 25th of this month. Um, I mean, dude, that game to me is just like you know, that's the extreme. Of course, Call of Duty can never do that, where it's been over a decade since the last
Mhm.
game came out. But the expectation is that everything that was good about GTA 4 and 5 is in this game, and it's going to be then tenfold of that, you know?
Mhm.
Like, if you think the pressure for Haze Light for their next game is bad, like in a couple of years, it's beyond that with GTA. Like, that's
Mhm.
what everybody just has that baseline expectation that there's no way this game is just okay. It has to
Mhm.
build, mega high off of everything that made arguably one of the best games of all time great.
Yeah, and they set that precedent, right, about
Yes.
themselves. So they're fully aware of it, and that's perfectly fine. And I think it's a game that you release. I mean, I think Call of Duty, Activision, they know that they set the precedent as this is going to be a new game every single year. Now it's kind of blended into this is sort of the same game every single year, and
Right.
it can't be like that. That's why you can't compare like apples to oranges. You can't compare Rainbow Six to COD because Rainbow Six, when it was first released, like there's no Rainbow Six 2, 3, 4, 5. It's the same game, and they continuously update it,
Mhm.
which that's fine. But I think when you set that up in the beginning, and that's how the game is, your player base takes it differently. You know, like all of us in COD, we expect a new COD every year because that's how they presented it.
Mhm.
That's why if they released Warzone as like its own separate standalone, I think people would be okay with that. And I know it's its own standalone app and stuff, but the Warzone piece like seeps into multiplayer, and that's the issue. They can't just do what they want on like every individual game. The freedom that they have is their like campaign,
Right.
which that's like every single developer. They can do whatever they want with their campaign.
Right. Yeah, when you have complete freedom over like your game and you're not having to worry about multiple different versions of like, for Call of Duty, what it could be, I think you get a better product. And
Mhm,
especially now with not having to do the back to back years and these people get time. That's what I'm hoping with MW4 that when this game comes out, it's a good game, of course. Um, but then that hopefully puts a bit of pressure on them to then really try to build off of it, because that's like we're seeing this from both the games that we just mentioned during this episode. Like that's exactly what is going down with them. They make good games, they listen to the fans, and then the fans are expecting them to execute even higher on the next game, you know?
mhm,
And that bit of pressure that's on the developers, I mean, man, that's like what they say, like diamonds are made under pressure. Like that's the way I think a lot of these teams need to be because when you just go from year to year and you're just kind of slopping things together, that's what Call of Duty's fallen into,
mhm.
in recent years for sure, and the fans have seen it. So they need to have a good reset here where they can put out a game that hopefully people are excited about, and then people are starting to wonder already, okay, what's going to be the move for Infinity Ward with the next title? I see them change their logo. They have like the yellow in there, and it's not really that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things, but part of me when I see that, I'm like, I hope this is maybe a new chapter for them where they're like, hey, we're not that studio anymore, like in a good and bad way that made COD 4,
Mhm.
however many years ago now. Like they have changed, but it's going to be like a change for the better. We're
Mhm.
actually going to be making, quality games that though it's different than what we had back then, it's still that same kind of feeling.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. Pressure is a privilege,
Mhm.
so they need to create a product. And like my final point on everything is that if if Call of Duty Warzone they had a whole separate team where it's just Warzone, they keep that tax sprint movement, they keep that movement, and they treat it like a Call of Duty mobile. Why not just create specific maps for Warzone and add literally every single weapon from every single game into Warzone and then have the standalone Call of Duty year to year? That can be completely separate.
Right.
However the developers want to create it. And if they want to pull the Warzone movement into their game and like then so be it. That's fine. But I think setting up the from the get go that Warzone is separate from traditional Call of Duty, that would make a lot of people, you know, decide like what do they actually want? Do they want Warzone or do they want the new Call of Duties like from year to year? And that I can respect way more because if MW4 comes out and I know IW likes to mimic the Warzone movement, fine, that's their decision. But then the next year, uh, Sledgehammer they come out with the game and they don't want to do their movement. Great, again, still completely separate because they easily could create a Call of Duty mobile in Warzone. Just add every single weapon in there. They don't need to be tied to the multiplayer.
Right. Yeah, I think that would be a much better strategy, and everybody would win on that,
Yeah, you
because
just
the
need
people,
separate teams, like a
yeah,
whole dedicated Warzone team.
right. Those who are gonna be developing Warzone can really put all their time and energy in listening to the people that actively play it, and give feedback on it, you know? Like, yeah, it's crazy to think that we're all under one umbrella as Call of Duty people. Like, you know, I'm trying to think of even people that, like, played it big, like Swag and all these guys, or Nick Merckx or Tim, like, who had played it, big when it was really big. The fact that we would be in the same realm as Call of Duty players to them, to me, is crazy because we don't remotely think of the game the same way. We have
Hmm.
completely different viewpoints because the game that we play for Call of Duty is way different.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, if they were separate like that, then everybody would win. Everyone would get their version of Call of Duty, or at least get closer to the version that they actually want,
Hmm.
instead of trying to appease everybody, and they fail in trying to do that, where it's just kind of mid across the
Hmm.
board, which has
Yeah,
been the state recently.
yeah, and I think if you are war, you know that Warzone has brought in so many players. I mean, that's a fact. But okay, now like create a Warzone game to please those players. Like you already have a big enough community in the Warzone community, so make the Warzone game and please them. And then you have your other Call of Duty players that you can, year after year, you get a different game. And I think most players will respect that way more and be happier with that because you know what you're going to get if it was this case. If you went into Warzone, you know it's going to be this type of movement. It's going to be all these weapons. You know, it's going to be the COD that is a BR, and it's kind of like COD Mobile. You get every weapon from every single COD. Whereas you go into multiplayer, it's going to be that game that year, whatever that COD is, and then next year you're getting another one, and it might be the same movement as Warzone, or it might not be at all. But the fact that that you're going to Warzone, that is a Warzone game. It's not kind of like a multiplayer. It's a whole separate game.
And the fact that Warzone has to compete with these games that are solely dedicated to one specific type of game, makes it even harder for them because their fan base that they've lost a lot of those people when Warzone's been in tough times, and then these new games pop up like Marvel Rivals, or like Siege has always been around, or CS, or Apex, like any of these games that come along that, yeah, they may be not just like, BR type games. They maybe have their own thing. They could be just an extraction shooter, or again, they're just strictly competitive. um, People will just jump off Warzone when it's not doing well and go to these games that like their main focus is just their one style of game. Like they've based their whole thing around that, To your point, instead of where Call of Duty has three different things right now. It's got the Warzone, it's got the DMZ, and it's got multiplayer, and zombies. I mean, they spread themselves way too thin. And when they don't make people happy in all of those areas, people will just go to games where, hey, for Siege, you're like, yeah, the search and destroy multiplayer is not good in COD. Okay, well, this whole game that's a rival to them, that's their whole basis, is
Mm-hmm.
just this. And they do it really good because they don't do anything else, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but if they split up Call of Duty and focused on these things, like mainly just the Warzone side separately, and we talked about it with DMZ, I think it would be a lot better for them, and they wouldn't lose as many people, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, because I think it can still be under one umbrella, but I think they need to go 100% into Warzone and just really set the precedent that this is not your typical Call of Duty year to year. This is its
Yeah.
own separate entity,
Mm.
Warzone, and that's still under Call of Duty. But I don't think any of how they create their Warzone game should impact how the devs want to create their experience, their campaign, their multiplayer, and DMZ. Like if DMZ is like MW4, like Infinity Ward's like third thing that they want to do, fine. Like it's like zombies too. But I don't think those three campaign multiplayer third game mode should ever be influenced or impacted by like Warzone.
Yeah.
Warzone's developers should just stay on Warzone and then let the other devs work on their games. I don't think they want to do something else. They should be able to, instead of just trying to combine everything. Because I feel like if you know, if I go here, this is what I get. If I go here, this is what I get. Everyone's happier. Because if you don't
Yeah,
like the multiplayer, then fine, go to Warzone because you like that style. Cool.
right. Yeah, I totally agree. I think like closing out on it, I think it's a really interesting thought. I'd be curious to let people who've made it this far, which we appreciate it. Do let us know what you think about this. Just the idea of Call of Duty maybe splitting off, like again, still being under one umbrella, but would that be a better strategy for Call of Duty to go down in the future? I agree. I think it would be. Um, but will they do that? And should they do that? I'd be curious to hear from other people in the comments just what they would say about that and maybe give a different perspective on it because there could be something that we're missing with it. But I
Hmm.
think most of the points talked about with it, it makes sense. This has
Hmm.
been a problem for them for years and they need to fix it.
Yeah. Any developers listening to us right now, speak. You're probably under a contract or an NDA, can't say anything, but we're open to chat. Doesn't need
Yeah,
to be
go
recorded.
join the Discord, put a
Yeah.
different name in there. You're
Yeah.
anonymous. Do talk
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
Um, But yeah, no, I think for the main points on that, yeah, again, I think it's a good idea. But again, I would like to hear from other people. So we mentioned it before already. Be sure to join our Discord and talk about this since we have a bunch of people always who are in there and we appreciate them talking about these podcast topics and what we say. And do offer different perspectives. So if you have a different idea, whether you agree, disagree, think we're crazy, do be sure to join the Discord
Hmm.
and give your opinions because
Yeah.
we always appreciate it.
And
You know.
like, speaking for myself, I don't know about you, but like, I am excited for MW4. Even all the stuff that I said beforehand, because obviously Call of Duty needs to work on stuff, but I'm excited for MW4. And I think, yeah, you can call me a sheep, you can call me whatever, same game every year. But if you play COD this time of the year, yeah, everyone's like, okay, itching for the next one.
Bro, I'll leave it on this. COD has been our game since we were kids. Like we've always
Yeah.
loved Call of Duty. It's like, it's our like a child, We've
Hmm.
we've seen it change over the years. And there's been good years and bad years, no doubt. But yeah, we ain't giving up on it. I'm always hopeful and optimistic that there is going to be a time where they come back and yeah, are we in lean years right now with Call of Duty? No doubt.
Hmm.
People you can't really argue that. But it's better, like, in my opinion, it's better to just hope and
Hmm.
try with the next game, than just completely give up on it. Because for me, there's really no other multiplayer shooter that I have any interest in playing other than Call of Duty.
Yeah.
I don't care to play Marvel Rivals. I don't care to play Siege. Like, there's really no other game that I want. Even when X Defiant, rest in peace, when that game, I just didn't interest me anywhere near as much as Call of Duty. Call of Duty could be at its worst state, but I'm still going to be trying to play it, and hopefully the ball will get rolling and we'll be back to the prime years.
Yeah. And the Call of Duty community is just so big, man. It's like,
Yeah.
it can't, literally, it can't just die. If it does die, that's like one of the biggest, not fails, but like losses in just gaming ever. If it just was gone. So yeah, I mean,
It
I'll
would be
say it.
worse than Halo.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, like MW3, like the original MW3. Love that game. Definitely could have played it for like multiple years, but could I play that game for over a decade? Like GTA 5 or like some other games? No. And it just goes back full circle. The appeal of a new game every year. That's just what people want.
Yeah.
Um, we lived those times, and yeah, I mean, again, well, I don't even know how long a Call of Duty is technically out. From year to year, and I would say like the prime time. Like if you think about it, MW3, we probably played the entire time while it was out. Like it's prime
Oh
time,
yeah.
like
Yeah, no doubt we
multiple
did.
days during the prime time. So I mean, yeah, Call of Duty's not going to die, and yeah, we're on the down right now, and I don't know. maybe we are past the prime of Call of Duty, but it doesn't mean we can't get back to being like a really good game again. It only takes 1 year. That's all it is. It takes 1 year. Um, it's just right now Call of Duty. Everybody's just hops on the bandwagon to hate because it's Call of Duty.
Yeah. And again, we gotta be real too. It is a game.
Yeah,
Okay. Like,
yeah,
we've had our years where, like we don't play as much. Like we still
Mhm.
play the game, but if you're not liking it a ton, just don't play it. I mean, we know that we're gonna be buying the game. And people that if you're one of those where you're not interested in it, you don't like it, then just don't buy it,
yeah,
you know? But for me, I'm always hopeful that that year there's going to be, and most of the time I do, there's always something about that COD that I find redeeming, that makes it worthwhile, Like, do they put them all together, like all the pieces of the puzzle? Not always. But like you said, it only takes 1 year.
mhm,
MW4, it's got the tax sprint in there. I'm never going to be happy about that. But could the rest of the game be pretty solid? Yeah,
mhm.
100%. And that tax sprint thing, I might be like, yeah, it sucks, but it's not really that big of a deal when it comes down to the rest of the game because the rest of the game could be really good, you
Yeah,
know?
exactly.
Or it could be MW 2019. The whole thing sucks, but you take that gamble, you
Yeah,
know?
I mean, if there are more pros and cons about the game, I'll take that.
Yeah, 100%. I'm the same way, but yeah, I think that just about does it for everything that we talked about. I mean, again, we covered a good amount of stuff regarding just like where Call of Duty's at, and talking about the ports as well. Which I would be curious to hear from people if they're around our age, if they're older, or if you're like high school or college person and you never maybe played those games. Do let us know on YouTube or on the Discord and join up and talk about it. Like, are you excited for those games? Are you not excited? Like, let us know why or why not, because we'd be really curious to hear people's viewpoint on it.
Mhm.
And of course, anchor.fm/COD Casual, since we're on all streaming platforms, Instagram, TikTok, give us a follow for the shorts. 5-star rating. Always.
Mhm.
We appreciate that. Giving us a follow. We're close to the 1,000. So we keep saying it all the time. Be sure to give us a follow. It's greatly appreciated. The Discord, once again, for time number 800. Be sure to join it up and be part of the conversation for everything that we talk about, Call of Duty related, gaming related. We just want to be
CDL,
there and here. Yeah, CDL stuff. We're
Major
on our
3.
last week here of online matches, which is going to be a relief. We're going to be in there talking about it.
Mhm.
So by the time you guys hear this, that week's already over. So get in there for the next week of like Major 4 and going forward, because we want to be talking about that. We got a whole crew of people that we're always chatting and being mind blown by some of the plays that are going down and you know the downfall of Breach. But
But hey,
we're not
no,
talking
no.
about that. They're going to be great.
Boston's in winners, dude.
Boston's in winners.
It's sneaky. I don't know if they place top 4. It
I mean,
might happen. I was
the
listening to
Discord's going to
Zinni.
go crazy.
I was listening to Zinni and Scump, and they're like, Boston's weird, man. Like they actually look really good
They could.
because they got nothing to lose. If they came
Yeah.
in dead last, okay. If they win, even better. Like it does.
Yeah. 100%. So if you want to be there for some moment, maybe Boston goes and they make it to a Sunday.
Mhm.
I mean, we're going to be in green. Do be sure to go and join up because we want to be there for all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that does it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, everybody, thank you so much for listening to episode number 280 of the COD Casuals podcast. We're your host, Mike,
I'm Justin.
and we'll see you guys next week. Take it easy, everybody.
See ya.